Yeah. Welcome, man. Good to
Hello,
see a few
gentlemen.
familiar faces, some new faces. Welcome, everybody. Sorry, we're on a bit of a delay. I've just moved into a new house and my Wi-Fi is testing me. So hopefully it doesn't freeze or anything over this call. Yeah, welcoming you to bring your screen on if that feels good to you. It'll be great to see people and get to feel people and check there's no female body sneaked into the recording. Welcome, 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 welcome. So this webinar is called Relational Mastery, discovering how archetypes can transform your life. And the reason we've created this is because I found myself in the same loops in relating over and over again, attracting the same partners. And to be honest with you, it became a bit despairing at times, starting to lose hope. And when I first got shown this model about 10 years ago, I mean, it's quite an extensive model. We're going to give you a microdose today, but it's made radical shifts in the people I'm attracting in and the way I'm turning up in the world. So there's hope. It can make a big shift in your relating. Um, so my name's Robbie Griffin. Some of you don't know me. It's nice to be here with you. I have we're going to give a very short synopsis of who we are and a little bit about emergence before really getting into the juice of it. We're going to be very short on that part, but it's for some people it's nice to get an idea. So I, um, where do we begin? I mean, I could go into a long story, but I won't. I really didn't get much emotional intelligence modeled to me when I was young. There was alcohol and there was violence. So I really dug myself quite a deep hole. Would find myself drinking a lot and distract myself and manage to create success in the world because I had kind of blinkered vision. I was very masculine and driven. So for me, discovering these archetypes, discovering my own inner feminine, discovering other aspects of me was revolutionary. And it really was revolutionary for how I'm turning up in the world and how the world's receiving me. And we created Emergence, I think 4 years ago now, and we've done 16 trainings. We do them all over the world, mainly through Europe. And yeah, it's a deep, deep honor to be stewarding this ship. It's made a big impact in many lives and it continues. And there's many levels through Emergence. We've just launched something called the Seas, which is kind of like a newer online course for people to get a microdose of the initiation in person. And then we have a facilitated training after that. And today, really, this is something that we're working with. This model that we'll give you is at the core of emergence and some of the work we do. There's many different aspects, but this is a real integral piece of it, and really integral to turn up as a soul on this planet and to be able to relate from a really deep and powerful place. I'm going to pass it over to my offside here, Graham Gough.
Yeah, your better half, maybe. I'm Graham. It's lovely to meet you. I remember coming into contact with this model in 2017 for the first time, and uh, it was a very powerful realization, crushing, but also opening as well, that I'd essentially been relating with my mother for most of my life in nearly all of the women that I had connected with. And even when they weren't like my mother, somehow I made them like her, difficult, challenging, a little bit cruel, doesn't really see me, I'm not really good enough. And then this model came along, and I had the eureka moment where I started actually to relate to myself. And that was a big change for me that I stopped seeing necessarily all the things that I wanted outside of myself and started to take a really good, long, deep look inside and to see, okay, but who the hell am I in all of this? And actually, who is the one, so to speak? That perennial quest for the one who's gonna change my life and come in and everything's gonna make sense. And I let go a lot of that illusion thanks to this model. And in some ways, it's sped up a lot of things that are really important to me in my life today, including the opportunity to co-create something like this. It's a great honor to be here with you, and I hope that you get even if you get 1% of this, it will be a lot, trust me.
So I'll give you a little idea of how it's going to unfold. We will introduce archetypes. We'll then introduce the model that we're talking about. Now, because we've been in this world, in this realm for over a decade, maybe some of our languaging might not make sense. So if there's a word or something that we say and we've kind of use it as a common language to us now, it might not be so common to anyone. So you can type it in the chat if you just write the word and a question mark or something. And we want to try and make this as interactive as possible. There's a lot of information to give you. So if there's a question comes up, I'd invite you to go to the bottom of your screen and see where it says react, and you can put like your electronic zoom hand up. And when we finish whatever we're sharing, a good moment, we will then give you space to ask the question. So we're going to go into four different archetypes, and okay, I'm noticing there's a bit of a delay, so I'm just going to wait for my Zoom to catch up with me. We're going to go to four different archetypes, and we're going to have about 10 minutes or so on each one. And then at the end, we'll have a question and answer. Graham's also spent hours creating a little model for you, so it's a bit more, so you can get a visual as well. And we're going to send the final model to you in the emails tomorrow, so you will have access to that as well. Yeah, so if there's any questions come up, if you have pen and paper, maybe write them down, and then there'll be space for you to ask them at some point. We've also got some little questions, surveys, which we'll be asking at some point, which again, it's just a bit fun, make it interactive so we can be as engaging as possible. So this is being recorded, and we're going to share this out afterwards. So you'll also get this through your email tomorrow. So don't worry if you don't get everything, just be as present as you can, and you'll get a chance to rewatch this and to it land deeper. And as I say, this is really just a drop in the ocean of the possibility of this model. It's really, really deep and life-changing. Okay. So who here is familiar with archetypes? You just put your hand up. Yeah, a few of us. Yeah, I know. I see now for some of these faces. And I'll give a little synopsis just so we're on the same page. So archetypes are really coined and popularized by Carl Jung, the Swiss psychoanalyst. And the word archetype comes from Greek arch, meaning beginning or origin, and typos, meaning pattern or imprint. So really they're an original pattern, the original pattern of the soul, you could say, or a blueprint of reoccurring human experiences. And what he found is that over time and over geography, the whole kind of planet, these same experiences, these same archetypes were popping up which was fascinating to him. And he can see how he then coined something called the collective unconscious, which is something which is circulating the unconscious of the collective, meaning of humanity. So these archetypes are kind of, there's a personal realm, which we live in a lot. And then there's this archetypal realm, which are these imprints that are available to us. So, example of some archetypes: Robert Moore popularized king, lover, warrior, magician. There's literally thousands. We could have the hero, the mentor, the trickster, the villain, mother, father, wild man, wild woman. And these show up in myths, in stories, in media. Joseph Campbell, again, really popularized archetypes through his hero's journey. And then he realized that if you look at a lot of the myths, the stories from millennia to the modern movies, there's a similar kind of journey, an archetypal journey that plays out. We're also going to go into masculine and feminine, and I want to give a little disclaimer here that we're not talking about male or female, man or woman. We're really talking about masculine or feminine energies, masculine or feminine, rather than man or woman. We might refer to man and woman in this because we've actually not allowed any women onto this. So we will be working within that realm just because it's quite easy for us to then be able to relate as men. But the universe flows through polarities. So there's light and dark, Shiva, Shakti, yin, yang. And these, just want to make it really clear, these energies are not gender. The soul knows no gender. Really, what we're longing to do is to reunite them, to bring ourselves into an inner wholeness. As Graham touched on there, it's like meeting myself deeper. If we're really going to turn up in a relationship and meet someone else, then we have to know ourselves. So why work with these archetypes? It reconnects us to a real inherent power and purpose. They're not just ideas, they're felt, they're lived. They can be moved through the body, through breath, through instinct, through symbols. And what it does is it helps us to create our own myth, especially in these chaotic times. So they're not just psychological tools, they're really soul maps. They're a universal language to help us navigate change and soul evolution. So you up for this? Yeah? Cool. Okay. I'm going to pass it over to Graham and his hard worked at model.
Yeah, just have to bear with me for a moment, guys. Okay, can everyone hear me okay? Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to take you through the basic structure of the model. And a good way to think of this structure, if it supports you, is it somehow represents your physical structure as well, and also your energetic structure, if that's something that you have experience of or perhaps believe in. So everything that exists within the structure that I'm about to introduce includes all qualities and properties of you as a human being, of you as a soul, as you as ether, or whatever other substance you care to imagine yourself, or well, whatever relates to you. So we're going to start with the light. So the light is spirit, it's consciousness. If it supports you, you could think of it as heaven. It's part of the ability that helps you to kind of stand upright. So it's a vertical current. And then that vertical goes all the way down into the ground, into what we call the dark, which is really important that for those of you who maybe haven't heard the word dark being used in this context, that we're not referring to shadow. We're actually referring to matter. We're referring to this body, these feet that touch the ground itself, embodiment. And then to our right, we go to masculine. You could consider this yang, the dynamic, electric, rational energy of a human being. And then to the left, we have the feminine principle, yin, sensing, feeling, intuitive energy, perhaps the emotions as well. So this creates a structure from right to left and up and down. It's actually, you could look at it almost as the energy that helps you to walk, helps you to move through the world, always maintaining a kind of dynamic balance. And this is going to be the first quadrant that we're going to explore, which is going to be the light masculine. So if you just take a photographic imprint of what you see here, I'm just going to stop sharing for a moment. Just talk you through a little bit the qualities and the properties of the light masculine so that you get more of a sense of what we're talking about here. So the light masculine really is drawing energy from up above. So these are more kind of top-down beings, maybe more consciousness-based humans. So could be quite spiritual, could be quite intellectual. At its best, this energy embodies a kind of stability and a integrity in absolutely conscious awareness. So they're good at holding space for themselves, for others. They can maintain healthy boundaries when this energy is more integrated into the system. And they provide a kind of structure as well. So, for example, they'd make good therapists by and large. They might not be necessarily the kind of showering you with nurture therapist, but they might be really good at listening and helping you identify perhaps or helping to guide you into levels of awareness. So they're very calm in the center of the storm as well. Really keepers of purpose and a kind of direction that goes out. There's a certain kind of width in their being. If I think of good examples of this energy out there in the world, perhaps people who are no longer with us as well, someone like Nelson Mandela. So if you imagine the dignity and the purpose that he maintained in the face of the kind of adversity that he had to experience, kept his head up, and led with a kind of forgiveness and a sense of reconciliation. So this could be a good model, perhaps, to look at of a celebrity. Gandhi is another good one. Non-violent principles, very strong moral alignment. Like his values were so deeply important to him that he wouldn't bend his values. So there can also be a little bit of rigidity, which I'll get onto in a moment. And when I was thinking of celebrities, okay, who kind of embodies this energy really well that I enjoy. And I would say someone actually like Keanu Reeves would be a good example of a human who really embodies, I think, the best of this energy. There's a kind of humility, I think, that it's learned through experience, but also there's a kind of natural humility that arises, not a kind of performative humility, but a sincere humility. And sincerity is definitely a characteristic or a property. So if you imagine who this being might be, and you might even relate to this energy, and it'd be good to just see maybe a show of hands of what I've described so far, anyone who relates to it to a greater or lesser extent. Just put your hand up. Okay, so we've got a few light masculine beings on the call. So as you might imagine, in might be your experience as well, that this energy can create quite a lot of safety through consistency, alignment with values. It's really being expressed through a kind of deep listening, honoring and standing firmly but not aggressively in truth. But as well, there's a shadow aspect to this being as well. So it can be very rigid, unmoving, very difficult to reach. And being difficult to reach is a quality because there's also a disconnection as well. So can be very aloof, can be very distant, might be elitist, either in a spiritual sense, spiritual elitism, or could even be intellectual elitism as well. So a tendency to go up here to the response or the reaction sometimes to challenge could be to go up more to the mental plane because it's safer to be up there. Can be very cold and unfeeling, and definitely the journey of feeling emotions is a huge part of integration for this archetype, and not just emotions, but also eros, erotic energy, sexual energy too. Can be very difficult to hold that kind of energy in the body, in the being, when so much of life has been spent up in the kind of upper channels of one's being. And probably the last piece on this is can be a sense of the distance, can be real like loners. So it can be quite lonely, can be quite alone, and that might present as a more kind of monastic way of living. But it can also be that there's a lack of awareness of one's own essential or basic needs. So quite often the body is something that's kind of worked or pushed, but there isn't much connection to it. So they may actually present as physically very powerful or very fit beings, but somehow never quite being fully in their bodies. So yeah, if I imagine beings who would be perhaps more dangerous with this kind of energy, cult leaders, gurus, spiritualists, religious leaders, televangelists, those kind of beings are ones that perhaps yeah, might not really fully understand the magnitude of their power, and then could take actually from the shadows a little bit. Not really, because they're not really fully embodied, so they can't feel so much the emotion that comes with some of these out of alignment behaviors. So I'm just going to go back to the image. Okay. Yeah, just showing just a brief recap of some of the qualities or properties that really stand out in terms of being in alignment with this energy. This energy, at its best, this sense of holding, the presence of masculine consciousness, and also the integrity. You see, it's got a lot to do with structure and form and shape and holding. It's a mental energy in a sense, but also highly energetic as well. And then also just to show you some of the qualities of being out of integrity, of being in the shadow, of being unseen, this kind of quality of disconnection, really struggling somehow to connect to oneself and to connect to others as well. Maybe that manifests as a lack of belonging. So it may be quite a lonely existence and disembodied. And then also the rigidity, the lack of flexibility, the lack of um, always wanting to be right. I would say that's it. It's often putting right above being in connection, and then the kind of elitism that comes as a kind of defense against connection as well, against vulnerability. So quite often this structure of being yeah, created somewhat in opposition to connection. Okay, so we kind of move on to the next one, which is dark masculine. And I'm going to let Robbie introduce this one to you.
This is one of the most misunderstood energies. There's a lot of fear around even being in the presence of someone who's holding this energy. Because when this energy is out of integrity, Then it's the energy of rape, of taking, of murder, of violence. And we're seeing a lot of it in the world. That's why just the presence of this energy can create contraction in people's being. Because chances are a lot of us have either been on the receiving end of it or have actually held this energy. When it's integrated, when it has presence, when it has clarity, when it has purpose, this penetrative energy is fucking needed in the world. It's the energy that's going to really fucking stand for something, that wants to make a difference, that's willing to put itself out there. It penetrates through bullshit. The dark masculine knows how to ravish life. And the key thing here with this energy is connection to the heart. There needs to be connection to innocence. We're going to get into the map later on about how these energies play out, and there's so much importance between this energy and the light feminine that we're going to get to, and you'll see why. Because the heart needs to be here. This energy, when it's unintegrated, is taking for the sake of taking for their own power, for their own greed. But this energy, when it's integrated, is standing for something. It's doing it for something bigger than oneself, standing for a cause they're passionate about, they care about. And we can see the raping of the earth means that this dark masculine energy is not anchored. The burning of forests, the digging up for iron ore and all these materials for the phones and for whatever else. The fact that we're still using nuclear power, it's when we don't need to. It's greed, it's money. And women can penetrate as well, unconsentingly, especially with their emotional bodies. Who here's felt overwhelmed by their partner when they've gone at them and they've gone at them and it's like this energy has been attacking you. It's penetrative. Yeah, some of us can relate to that. It's difficult to deal with because we don't have many great models of this. And when we're young, when there's this, we hit puberty, testosterone levels go 600%, there's this message in our being to penetrate, an innate thing, a hormonal thing that comes to us. And often we don't have support. We're not shown, we're not having the conversations. And suppression is not the way. We need to be initiated. And the rites of passage, initiation journeys, sadly have been forgotten. Some people here might have had a parent or a brother or someone support them through that stage of their life, but I know I didn't get that. And when we can connect to this energy within ourselves, we understand it better. So our world starts to change. We don't make it wrong. It's really fucking needed. So I want to give a few examples of the dark masculine. And again, we like to kind of go to both movies and real beings. So um, let's start off with a few movies. So this is for the Game of Thrones fans. Jon Snow, King of the North. He is a great example of dark masculine. He's doing it for the people. Yeah, he's at war and he's doing his warrior, but he cares. He's not doing it for his own greed, his own power, his own importance. Martin Luther King, that speech he gave, and it wasn't necessarily like loud or abrupt, but you could just feel the power, the passion, the burning that was going through him and what he was standing for Black rights. And with all these characters, obviously there's Shadow. I've heard lots of things about his personal life after this, but that moment, what he was transmitting, what was coming through him was a beautiful transmission, beautiful example, beautiful demonstration of dark masculine. And I want to give an example of a female body and a young female body. Greta Thunberg. She, what she was doing when she was standing up to all those old, maybe aristocrat or rich or important men in Parliament around the environment. I think she was 16 years old or something. It's like, it's incredible. Like that was her dark masculine coming through, standing for something. She was not having it anymore and she needed to have a voice. And what that created, the activism and those, especially in the younger generation coming through, has been phenomenal. So it can create huge change. And then maybe if you think of Batman is another example, he's like the Dark Knight who comes in. He's not polite. He's not like, how do you do? And, madam and all that stuff. He's like coming in, doing his job, getting out. And the thing around this dark masculine, often they've worked through a lot of their own darkness. They've had challenging experiences. And that's where they can source a lot of this power from. So some examples of the unintegrated dark masculine would be, um, say, well, maybe a lot of CEOs. I mean, are of really ethical companies, and we're not including them, but like the money, the power that they've got to go to. Say Pablo Escobar, great example, drug lord. Just noticing all the screens are frozen. Hoping this is being recorded. I'm still here.
You're all good, Robbie.
I'll carry on. Okay, cool. Just for a minute, no one moved for ages then. I was like, what? How long have I been talking for here? So Pablo Escobar, yeah, drug lord, like he's in it for his own. He's got all his Harleys, he's got all his properties, he's got more than I think Colombia did as a country together, but he still wants more, and he's killing, and he's pillaging, and he's doing everything, and he just maybe since we've used Batman, let's use the Joker. You know, you can see that he's been through a lot of darkness. He's had his own story of darkness, and he's not working through it. He's not integrating it. So he actually wants to create harm to other people. Yeah. So just to give you some of the energies that the dark masculine will speak the truth. They're straightforward, they're direct, they're ruthless. So when I say ruthless, I mean like uncompromising with the truth. They're penetrative, they're willing to take risks. And this is what I see a lot of people afraid of, including myself at times, is to actually put myself out there and take a risk and like go for it and stand for something. And if I get it wrong and if I fuck up, I can just own it. They're not afraid to own when they fuck up. Doing our best. We're all doing our fucking best. But when we turn passive, and I want to say there's a huge wound of passivity in the world right now, where the nice guy mask is rooted in people pleasing and avoidance, often hides a terror of being wrong, a fear of being called out, a deep imprint of shame and rejection, which can create appeasement, freeze, passivity. But true peace isn't the absence of conflict or, and it's really standing for something and being at peace with knowing that you're in your truth. And then just some examples of the unintegrated, they're controlling, they're manipulative, power hungry, abuse, yeah, violence, extremists. So integrity isn't easy. It asks for courage, presence, and deep truth. And truth without compassion is cruelty. And there are some lines that love doesn't cross. So the dark masculine honors boundaries, not by shrinking, but by standing with clarity and fierce devotion. And when this energy is not integrated. When it's unintegrated, it becomes impotent, reactive, collapsed, and abusive. When it's honored, it knows how to penetrate the world with purpose. Just, if the dark masculine had a motto, it would be something like this: I'm fucking here, I deeply care, and I don't need to prove my worth to anyone. So who can relate that they've got some dark masculine in their system? They're aware of that. Yeah, beautiful. Let's get Graham's graph up again and move on. I'm trying to keep on our time that we're doing. If there's any questions, you're welcome to put them in the group. Put your hand up. We will get after the next two sections. We'll get a chance for some Q&A. So yeah, dark masculine, courage, passion, penetration, and in the shadow, the unintegrated version, it's a perpetrator. There's violence. It's careless. Now we're going to shift from the masculine into the feminine, and we are going to start with the dark feminine. And before we get into the dark feminine, I just want to again bring up Carl Jung and the piece he shares around anima and animus. So let me just, maybe you can drop that screen again, G, so I can see people a bit clearer. So who's familiar with anima, animus? A few? Cool. So again, I'll just give a little synopsis so we're on the same page. So the anima represents the inner feminine aspects within man's unconscious. So it's both the negative and the positive aspects of the feminine. And often it's the most underdeveloped aspect of the male body's psyche. Because we get told stories around boys don't cry. I mean, there's a real ugly one which says, don't be a girl and respect women. It's an oxymoron. It's fucking confusing. It kind of teaches a message, don't be a girl, as societal expectations that men will then avoid behaviors associated with being feminine, like emotional expression, vulnerability, sensitivity, teaching us that it's inferior, being a girl's inferior, it's weaker, and respect women. On the other hand, we also are told to respect women, which of course is necessary and valuable, but it's contradictory. If girls are weak, how can we fully respect women? It's a damaging message. And the animus represents the inner masculine aspect within the woman's unconscious. And the same in a lot of female bodies, as this is the most underdeveloped part. And because of the nature of society, I can also see how there are some very masculine women and they get rewarded for that. You know, and there might be the CEOs that I was mentioning of the unintegrated dark masculine might be female bodies as well. So the dark feminine. Hmm. This one is, you might find yourself turning your head at this one. She's like magnetic. There's a real potent energy that she can seduce. She, as Graham mentioned, with the light and dark. So the dark was more kind of body orientated. And obviously it's like the lower chakras, which is where the realm of sexuality lives. So she knows how to lure, she knows how to magnetize. You might find yourself like a moth to a candle around this energy. There can be real seductress. There can be a fierce energy. It's not just around sexuality, it's also like this wild woman. So it's the witch, it's the one who's in the forest, it's the one that does all the rituals. She's very earthy, unpredictable. Um, she's the one who's really integrated her slut, her sacred slut. Yeah, this word uncompromising is really running through me. She's the one that really calls you on your shit. And the unintegrated version, and I had a lot of this when I was growing up. I'm very familiar with this energy. Through my mother, through my sister. I mean, they're doing the best with what they know. It's not to pick fault with them. And I didn't know what was going on at the time, but only after after seeing this model, I'm like, oh, wow, okay. So they can be destructive, they can be bitchy, they can be jealous, aggressive, rude, mean, like this gossiping, manipulative. It's like, it's that girl that bullies everyone at school, that one that's like the bitch, the one that everyone kind of like tries to avoid. Yeah. So maybe some examples of the dark feminines. So Kali, if we're going to go to an archetypal example, Kali is that goddess um, who wants to burn it all down. Now, she's not doing it in an unintegrated way of like burning it down for the sake of burning it. It's not destruction for destruction's sake. It's destruction to create something even greater. Um, Emmeline Pankhurst. I've been geeking out on my English. I've just moved to England. I'm like really trying to firm my English Englishness again after 15 years detribalizing myself. But she was, I'm sure some of you know this, but she was suffragette. So she really stood for women's rights. She would like, I think her quote was something like, I'd rather be a rebel than a slave. She chained herself to, I think it was Buckingham Palace or something like that, some really well-known English building with many others, and was making a real stand for something because she passionately cared. And she was outraged at the fact that women did not have equal rights to vote and many other things, which obviously has completely shifted society. So, who here is kind of got an idea of this dark feminine energy? Get an idea? Who here finds maybe this attractive? Okay, screen's froze when I did that, so I don't have a clue.
A lot of
Maybe we get
hands
the
going
graph
up.
back up. Cool, cool. Okay, okay. Right now there's poker faces, but I trust the feedback. Um,
Okay,
yeah, if you can
just
get the
back
graph
up.
up, G. Yeah. So yeah, so the dark feminine and the energies of the dark feminine, this wildness, abundance, magnetism, and then in the unintegrated can be a victim, can be chaotic, can be cruel. So the word chaotic, there can actually be a positive chaotic and a negative chaotic. I just want to give that disclaimer, but in this case, it's like the chaos for like chaos. It's like just completely without a backbone, without any structure. And it's like, again, it's like maybe the example I gave of destruction for destruction's sake, chaos for chaos's sake, rather than chaos magic, where something incredible can be birthed through it. Okay, passing over to you, G.
So I'm going to take you on a little tour of the presence of feminine consciousness, which is, as you may have already worked out, the light feminine. So the light feminine is the compassionate nurturer. So it's a deeply compassionate, nurturing energy at its kind of pinnacle, its best. I suppose you could look at it as a kind of radiant mother in its most kind of mature form, maybe in younger forms could be a magical child, could be a little bit maybe the quality of the princess or something like that, whether that's integrated or unintegrated. The maiden, um, so this nurturing quality, grace, I would say, is really a property of the light feminine as well. So if you ever came into contact with grace, you were really met deeply by light feminine in that moment, and maybe the grace came through you as well. And you may have noticed that some of these qualities and these properties that we've described are the kind of naturally occurring phenomena when the conditions are just right. So a lot of them are essential qualities that really bubble up when somebody's open. Kindness, for example, the difference between kindness and being nice. Nice is a kind of performance, I suppose, and kindness is a natural response to something or to somebody with empathy. And empathy and the unconditional, really big kind of key characteristics of this feminine, this light feminine energy. Um, Acceptance, surrender to a certain extent, supporting the surrender of others. I would say it's the kind of energy that if you ever really found yourself down on your knees, just like I'm, please, like just give me something. Like I've tried everything. If you really allowed yourself to like get on your hands and knees, you may have felt the energy kind of gracing you in some kind of way. It's a very angelic. Um, and like I say, unconditional. So there's nothing that you need to do. There's nothing that someone else needs to do to receive that support, that compassion, that kindness, that grace. So this is not an energy like Robbie's been talking about. This exclusively the domain of women, like far from it. I would actually say that this is probably the archetype that I relate to the most in terms of at least me at my most present and authentic. I would say that this is actually my natural kind of home base, and it took me a long time to realize that. And it can also be a difficult thing sometimes for a male-bodied being to accept that, because it might not look it now, but for most of my life, I tried to appear strong, invulnerable, that nothing could reach me and nothing could touch me, but somehow this energy would just kind of reveal itself every now and again. And I used to get that thing, people telling me all the time how sensitive I was or how kind I was. And I was like, no, I want to be a badass. I want to be the guy with the motorbike and the leather jacket, you know. But sometimes you just have to accept like who you are at your core. And this is a very supporting and nourishing energy for me to be more in contact with. It does create a sense of a spiritual connection, an emotional safety as well, and that presence, yeah, really supporting wholeness. Everything is welcome. Everything is okay. That's absolutely like a quality of it. All of you is welcome here. So, if we take a look at some of the famous people, celebrities, some of whom are past, some are still with us. Mother Teresa is a good one. Like a kind of somehow a being who's beyond being human. Um, that kind of care for the vulnerable, superhuman. I understand that there's some questions regarding her conduct, but I would just say for the purposes of this conversation that she would fit this archetypal energy. Princess Diana, she's got a little bit of dark feminine in her as well, absolutely. But if you imagine the woman who's going to the minefields, meeting the victims of explosions, going to hospitals to be with people who are on their last days, there's something around that, still being welcoming, still inviting, not letting anything get in the way of her compassion, which is a bit like a kind of river breaking. And then Florence Nightingale, again, you see a little bit like the nurse archetype, the carer archetype really comes through this. And I alluded to a light masculine therapist being maybe more of a coach. I would say a light feminine therapist. She might be super emotionally attuned to you and kind of working more on that kind of level rather than sort of telling you how you should lead your life or what kind of practices you should do. She might be a little bit more in the emotional realm than the kind of practical realm, which is very important as well. Brené Brown, I think she's a great example of presence of feminine consciousness. She's got great like masculine as well, but she's somebody I think who has contributed to the field. This piece around vulnerability, which only could only really come from a light feminine being in my estimation. And in so you can imagine what this does in relationships. These are quite radiant beings. So you may have come into contact with this kind of radiant being, perhaps in a female body. I remember an American woman that I was connecting with in a retreat once, and um, it was evident that she was pretty special, but I hadn't realized that pretty much every single man in the field was kind of following her around, hanging on her every word. And she kind of wasn't really doing anything other than being herself, but it was like a blinding sometimes how kind of beautiful she was just in her spirit and her nature. And she had time for everybody as well. And that's maybe gives you a little bit of an idea. Um, in terms of shadow, she's a pushover. She's, if there's a strong gust of wind, she's got no ground. So she can be a little bit vacuous or a little bit empty, ungrounded, doesn't have any direction or purpose, is very much at the mercy of the elements, whether that's weather or whether that's just the challenges of life. So can't really function on her own. She needs somebody else. Otherwise, she's just completely at the mercy of fate. So there's a lack of presence that goes in that, and always wanting to be more in the kind of soft and nurturing and gentle. But when life gets challenging, she doesn't have the strength of character and the courage and the conviction and the ability to really stand in the face of challenges. So could be sacrificing as well a certain level of authenticity to gain approval. Robbie talked about nice guys. I actually think that this is nice guys a little bit the shadow of like feminine. You could also say like masculine as well, but actually I'm going to make a claim for like feminine. It can be a little bit bending around somebody else to suit them. It's like, what do I say to them? How do I make them feel better about themselves? But really deep down, it's a self-protection. So often suppressing things like anger, for example, to appear more palatable or to be liked, to feel safe. So often outsourcing from outside safety and security and a stronger sense of authenticity. So relying quite often on others. It's not so much an energy that in this very moment I can think of actually in terms of celebrities and whatnot. I can think of plenty of partners that I've been with that which fulfilled this brief, including myself, I think, to a certain extent as well. Robbie, I don't know if you've got any that come to mind at all. I can think of lots of, I can't think of too many out of integrity ones. Nope, lost Robbie. Is
Yeah,
everyone
so
else?
no, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
back. Yeah, I've got it. So the you're thinking of out of integrity ones, or
yeah, out of
yeah,
integrity ones.
I mean, uh, so I mean, I love Games of Thrones because it's just like archetype central, you know. But Sansa from
Ah,
Game of Thrones, you know, she's such a walkover. You know, she's getting manipulated. I mean, she actually gets passed from like kingdom to kingdom to kingdom, you know. Um, and she's really lacking like that backbone. And she's bending her knee to like be submissive, to kind of be looked after by someone, and she's giving away her power. Um, I mean, again, I can actually think quite a lot of yoga teachers that go to burnout. They kind of giving themselves wholeheartedly, so much so they kind of go into martyrism, um, and then they can't function. Yeah, but it's the same with the light masculine, light feminine. You know, there's um, they're not like there's no what's the thing about bad news? Something I can't think but like bad news sells, It's like the dark when it's out, you people really make a big point of it. And often when it's out in the dark, then it can be actual criminal offense, you know. Um, so yeah, yeah. I think of less examples of light people going out unintegrated, but they're definitely there. And I guess, with all this kind of externalizing of it, you can know within yourself when you've kind of stepped out of your own integrity within these different quadrants. And really, this is what we're landing this model for, is to see where you are. And we're going to go into this now. Maybe Graham gets the model back up. So we've kind of given a very as brief as we can overview of this model. So obviously we have the two axes, and now we've got four quadrants: light, dark, masculine, and feminine. Um,
Yeah,
and
just
in a
to
moment, yeah.
so
So
just to recap on some of the qualities, the nurturing, the compassion, and the grace in terms of within integrity, so key qualities, and then when out of integrity, the or in the shadow, the rescuer, pushover, martyr. Yeah, I think rescuer could be nice guy as well. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So now we're going to have a little space for Q&A. There's another section we want to give about how. So now we've got the overview. Now we want to talk about how they relate and how this can turn up in your relationships. But before we do, we'd love to make space for any questions. We're going to have about 10 minutes or so for questions if people have any. And we'll leave this map up so people can maybe support them in their refining of their question. So I'm going to ask to do a scale thing here. So if you feel like you pretty much understood and kind of get a reasonable grasp of what we're on about, you can raise your hand up. And if you're not so sure, you put your hand to a kind of lower level. So use the scale of your. You see what I'm doing with the screen that's supposed to just being a hand. Okay. And I now see some brothers, some non-voters. My screen's frozen again. Okay, cool. So yeah, there's more to add, but we'd love to give a little space here. Any question, and please, if there's something brewing in you, chances are there's other people thinking it. So there's no silly question. Really inviting.
I haven't got as much a question. It's more of a reflection upon this, and I guess there could be a question in it. But yeah, so I guess I want to leave space more for Pete if there's burning questions. But there's sort of something that's more
Hit us,
alive in me.
Benny. We'd love to hear it. Please come
Beautiful,
forth.
beautiful. Brothers, thank you very much for this space. This is yeah, aligning well for me at this moment. Um, yeah, I'm currently going through a breakup, a very grieving time this past week. Very powerful, as you men know. Cracking up into the heart is a very powerful thing for us, and it can crack us into purpose and into greater alignment. And yeah, there's like understanding of the light masculine, the dark masculine, very powerful. And then in this dark feminine, which I'm noticing of my partner being very strongly in this dark feminine, like, yeah, it's really fascinating to me to really see this, and then also to see the unintegrated, the shadow, the victim, the chaotic. I love what you said about the Kali, and she does feel like that. She feels like there is destruction at times for good, and to rebuild me and the relationship in many ways to a stronger, more rooted place. And then I'm noticing the times of destruction just to create chaos. And I'm like, with this model, with this reflection of like trying to understand when it has been that, when she has been in the victim, and I'm trying to focus less on her. And I guess this is kind of a question for when going through breakups, is how much to focus on me and my ownership upon what I feel I can acknowledge, and I am doing that, and also to recognize within her what I was blinded to within the relationship because I was so lost amongst it as well. And maybe all of you men can relate with this at times of just being lost. And I know within my attachment style of anxious attachment, her being avoidant, and maybe you can touch on this as well of anxious and avoidant, how that maybe plays into this as well. But there's yeah, and then when you went into the light feminine, I see and I appreciate you, Graham, for mentioning that of the light feminine, how you feel naturally with that. And then myself, as you said that, I'm like, yeah, that does feel very much in me. When you said everything is welcome, this is something that I really feel as well, and I feel naturally is within me. And then I look at my partner and I'm like, part of me would love for her to be more in that. Part of me would love to be with a partner that is in that nurturance that I didn't get from my mother. So I'm also aware of my unmet needs that are coming through here that I'm wanting from my partner, which I also probably pressured her into or wanted her to be in a certain way. But when I think of the nurturance, when I think of the grace, when I think of the unconditional love that I really struggle to feel at times from my partner, and I felt there was a condition that I had to be this strong man, that I had to hold her and what she's going through, that I had to step up as a man and be in my integrity, which I know she's called me into. And yet there was this kind of constant needing of stepping up and expectation. And I'm not fully loved now as I am. And I need to be more and earn my love. And I'm also aware of my pattern of performing for love and so on and so on. So much is coming up now. So yeah, appreciate this model is really helping me in this moment. But yeah, I guess that's kind of a share. There was a question involved in there of some sort, I guess, of yeah, like I'm going to be reconnecting with her in a few weeks after this break. And I don't think it's a breakup, but I think there is this desire, like, and how can I be with this desire of noticing this dark feminine trait very much so, but then also wanting like this, yeah, more light feminine quality, this more nurturing, which I know she does have. I know she does have this deep compassion, and yet there can be a cruelty at times, I feel, from her, or chaos. So yeah, that's kind of my.
It sounds very rich, Benny. Thank you, bro.
bro.
You're really drinking this in deep. And what a divine timing. Yeah, sorry to hear that you're going through this grief, but I feel your capacity to allow it to season and ferment you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, so we're giving you this. We're going to get to this later, but you're on it. So ideally, we want to integrate all of these quadrants within our own being. And the more we do that, then the quality of partnership that we'll attract in will be met there. Now, it's great to be on a journey with someone and give them this awareness, let them see this, let them feel this, understand what's going on for them, let them be aware when they're slipping from their, integrated, chaotic, Kali energy into maybe the unintegrated. And that's going to be a journey for each of us. And I'm sure we all have that aspect within ourselves as well, where, often we can project on the crazy bitch outside, but we've got to integrate our own crazy bitch. Like, where's my fucking wild? Where's my chaos? Where's my stuff? Like, it's chances are the reason I'm attracted to it is because that's something that's missing within my soul codes right now. My soul's longing for it. It's given me this gift so I can drink in the transmission from her, so that can be part of me. So to be able to see the gift in that, yeah, and hearing this longing for the nurture, and I can also relate not receiving that from my own mother. And when I've received that from partners now, and I'm currently in a partnership with a being that holds this beautiful energy, there's the song about being a lady in the street and a freak in the bed. She has the two aspects of the light and the dark so it's beautiful, but she holds a real nurturing, and she's now given me those codes. And it's not that I now get my nurture from her, but she's really shown me like the capacity of really holding that energy. And now if I get sick or something happens to me, I'm giving that to myself. Now I feel her with me, but not as in like she's doing it to me. It's almost like, oh wow, thank you for teaching me how to give this to myself. So I'm not outsourcing. There's a phrase which makes me cringe, is like, you complete me, like this thing where really we want to be complete beings meeting another complete being, and then we're on the journey together. And when I say complete and when I say integrated, we're never perfect. It's a journey of progression. But the idea is that we're learning and we're expanding, and more parts of our soul are coming on. The parts that have been fractured off, that got frozen, that got had challenging experiences, now get a chance to know that it's safe. Like my nervous system has the capacity to hold you and love you and embrace you. You know, we're not here to like kill our shadows. We're here to love them back into our being.
Mm. Yeah, really beautifully put, Robbie. I think a couple of things that come to mind is one, this light feminine transmission, she may well have it somewhere in her being. Everyone has every transmission, as far as I'm concerned. It's just some are more expressed and some are more repressed. If if the conditions of the relationship require her to do that, like one way that you would invoke that kind of energy in a being is actually if you step into the dark masculine. And I know Robbie's going to talk a little bit about that in a while, but I would say pay special attention to that part, Benny, because I think there could be something really valuable for you there. And then I think concurrently there runs a stream where I'm going to be a little bit bold and say that I think you have a missing experience that you need to work through, and it might not be that you do that in the relationship. You can work through almost anything in a relationship, but it might be worthwhile if you're not already exploring that outside of the relationship, either in a kind of therapeutic container, some kind of process group, because um, it can be quite a big demand to put on somebody in terms of a relationship where the lines between the partner and the parents start to get blurred. And look, I did it most of my life, and I still do it sometimes now as well. So I'm by no means saying that I'm an expert and that I understand completely, but I understand enough of how painful that journey is if I try to source everything from the relationship. Not that I heard you say that, but just to be mindful of that. That's all.
Yeah, bro, I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It definitely was playing out at times, 100%. And also with her as well. You know, it was kind of weird having that, doing that for each other. But yeah, again, bringing it back to myself of like, you're completely right. When I'm in that dark masculine energy, she would then fall into the light energy, light feminine quite naturally. And I think that was my challenge is con consistently being in that dark masculine because I am more in the light feminine throughout my life. I've been in that. So it was quite, and I'm being reflected that from all angles in all different relationships I'm in. It's like how I can step more into that dark masculine, which, yeah, is a fucking journey. But yeah, I guess it's also that question of what's natural. Like you said, what's natural to me. And then also feeling like I'm being sort of molded into this more dark masculine trait, which I do want to step into more. And yet it's still I guess a journey of that, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think
And
you're going to find your way into your own expression of that. It might
yes.
be, there might need to be a little bit of dropping the ideas and really
Mm-hmm.
becoming that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
Exciting times, Benny.
Yeah. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, and I see
Appreciate
you're
it.
seeing it through the lens, and you've got a great awareness. So there's
Mm.
opportunity here, loads of opportunity here. You know,
Loads.
her soul's calling your soul in. You know, it's like I hear you. You want to step into that more, and she's like giving you ample opportunity. You know, so
Yeah, man. Yeah.
beautiful
Yeah. Yeah.
archetypal dance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, brothers, we are going to move on. I would actually love to talk about this for hours. I want to try and finish on time as possible because just to respect people's boundaries and time. Me and Graham will stay on afterwards. So if there are more questions or anything, then we're happy to continue in this field. And Benny's beautifully segued us into the next part anyway. So maybe G's going to press the magic button. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, we missed one bit, haven't we? We're going to do a quick vote. You ready to do that one, G? Yeah, yeah. I've almost you spent hours getting all this prep, so I don't want to miss it. So we have the four quadrants here. We're going to ask you a very quick question. Which quadrant do you associate yourself with the most? Which one do you feel like you're in? Here we go. So click light masculine, dark feminine, light feminine. It's anonymous, so it's not going to have your name, but we are going to kind of we're going to get the results. So we're going to see where
Yeah.
people feel like they land.
Yeah. Just curious what we're rolling with predominantly. Beautiful.
Now, I'm aware there's some empty screens here, so maybe a few people might not be at the screen voting. 14, 15, yeah, we're doing good.
Yeah.
Okay, 5 seconds to vote. Oh, there's a
Oh,
late one.
I think, yeah, I think we've got it. Hold on. Okay,
Oh,
here's the results. Can you
cool.
see? A lot of light masculine in the
So,
house.
yeah, that's it. It's a classic. 50% in this moment feel like they're in their light masculine, 8 out of 16. And then there's 3 out of 16, 19% in their dark masculine. We got a couple of dark femmes, 13%, and 3 light femme, 19%. Beautiful. So we can see half the field feels like they're in the light masculine. Okay, and we have a second poll, just out of curiosity. As we've mentioned, the idea of this is, if you sit in one poll for a while, it's exhausting and it's boring. And we are here to live life. So the intention of even giving this map is for us to work on the places that we need a bit more love, that need a bit more attention. So we can become more rounded, more whole beings, more souls. So the next question is, which ones you feel like you need to pour the most energy into, which is the most underdeveloped part of you out of the 4 quadrants?
Bear with me one
Which
moment.
archetype do you, yeah, have you put the poll up, Drew?
Yeah, just give me a moment.
Ah, sorry. And this is maybe where your work is. This is maybe where you want to focus your energy and time to develop, um, so you can, yeah, so this underdeveloped part of you can flourish and can step into greater power.
You just have to bear with me. There we go. Yeah, so kind of what
Okay.
energy do you need more of? LM like masculine, DM dark masculine, LF like feminine, DF dark feminine.
There's some quick votes on that light feminine, some dark masculine coming in, oh, dark feminine. 15 out of 18, 16. Here we go. 17, one more vote.
Okay, I'm
Okay, let's
gonna
call it G.
fill up the drawbridge.
So, as you can see, we have one person that thinks they need more light masculine. We have 4 people feeling they need more dark masculine, light feminine, 29, and 41%. 7 out of 17 feel like they need more dark feminine in their life.
Mm.
Beautiful. Thank you, brothers. And yeah, it's interesting. So, taking that with you into the next piece as we come into it. I mean, here, I just want to comment on the dark feminine. A lot of people, we had a lot of masculine, 50% masculine, and we've had a lot of people who realize they need the dark feminine because often we need to work with the opposites, the polarity. That's often where the greatest work is. Now, let's click on G. 12 minutes to get through this piece. See if we can do it.
Yeah, bear with me a moment. I'm having a little bit of trouble bringing it up.
So we're now going to go into how do these archetypes play out in relating. Here we go. How do these archetype energies relate to one another? To another, sorry. So the first one we're going to look at is light masculine, dark feminine. Kind of the revealing of the pole a bit there.
Hmm.
So often the light masculines can be very attracted to the dark feminine because the light masculine, the Shiva energy, they know how to hold presence and very centered. And then there's the dark feminine, which is this uncompromising, wild, earthy being. And again, like masculine, it's more kind of upper chakras, the meditators, the kind of like consciousness beings. And then there's a dark feminine down in their body. They're wild. They're this slut, this kind of sexual energy. So this polarity is attractive. The light masculine is like, yes, please. I want this because they want to integrate this in their being more. And in the dark feminine, also, it's like that, the chaos. And they also want some of that kind of like Shiva energy, that kind of presence. So I'm going to invite you to write in the chat if you want to, like, how do you think it is for the light masculine to interact with this energy? Like, what comes up? Sex, fear. Yeah. Thank you, Clement. Freeing, fire. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so this can be, it can be hot for the light masculine, and for the dark feminine, they get to be themselves, wild, free, and there's a level of containment that they receive. Okay, so triggering, Benny. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, if it's not integrated, and again, if this, like masculine can really hold themselves and it can really be present with the sensations in their body while they're seeing this in front, it's amazing. If they're being rigid and they're not actually attuned to what's going on in their being, and then they're seeing this other being who, again, if they're out of their intake, they're unintegrated and they're being like chaos for the sake of chaos, then yeah, it's just like a fucking, oof. I mean, all of these when they're unintegrated is triggering for sure.
Yeah, I know that if I'm more in dark feminine energy, as the other person is more in their like masculine energy, then there can sometimes be a just this really kind of deep, uncompromising frustration of like, Jesus, I just want to feel you. Like, please, like, just share something with me, show me something. So there can on the other side be that kind of desperate yearning to feel connected, to the present one who's kind of a little bit impenetrable, who can't be reached, who's got this kind of protection around them. And this dark feminine can call that out sometimes. That's a great quality. This kind of you could say calling in, but I'm just going to say calling out.
Oh, okay, let's do the next one. So now between the light feminine and the dark masculine. So, I mentioned around this earlier, the dark masculine can find the light feminine very attractive because they have this pure, radiant heart. There's the maiden energy is really within the light feminine realms. The mother energy, it's like this really deeply caring energy. I mean, the triple-headed goddess is then the crone, but so this can be very attractive towards a dark masculine because they're as Graham mentioned, it's like the guy in the Harley, he's the guy who comes in and he's like, he penetrates and he's wild and he's free and he ravishes and he really knows how to ravish. He's confident, he takes, it's within consent, but he's doing it with all his passion, all his liveness, his animals there, he's connected, he's so in it. Which can be fucking terrifying for the light feminine, the maiden. It's like, it's very passionate, it's alive for the dark masculine, and it can be terrifying for the feminine, the light feminine. Because the dark masculine can move very fast, it can move very quick and be very powerful. And the light feminines can be very tender and can be gentle. Um, so let's see what we've got here. Hot, taken. So I'm not, hopefully these are comments for this one. I'm guessing they are. So comforting, hot, taken, balance, intoxicating. Inviting the comments for this one if you haven't already. Um, yeah, something you want to add to?
Yeah, I was going to say actually, this really dawned on me during you talking was actually my wife. I would say when I met my wife, I met her in a treehouse in New Zealand, and then we were kind of dancing around each other a little bit. And then the next weekend that we saw each other, she just came up to me and said, "Look, I just really want to be with you. Like, when are you going to be available?" And I was like, "Wow, okay." I never had that experience before in my life, and that like feminine part of me was like, "Oh wow, okay, yeah, I'm really here for that," because this kind of buxom, curvaceous Turkish woman. I was just like, okay, like you can take me now. I'm yours. So yeah, just naming that that's really in our dynamic.
So this dark masculine energy that really knows how to ravish, that really knows how to take. Ultimately, why he's so attracted to the light feminine, because when the light feminine really knows how to surrender, how to trust, how to be ravished, how to allow life to run through her or them or him or whatever it is. So the attraction's there because there's also this longing to be able to drink the very medicine that they're serving. So the dark masculine would long to be able to fully surrender, to trust, to allow this, to connect deeply to the heart. Okay, let's go to the next one. How are we doing? 4 minutes. So again, comments in the chat, please. How do you think it would be between light feminine and light masculine? I mean, no, this is relationship material. This is like long term, like steady away, you know, no one's gonna rock the boat, everyone's love, nice light, but there's not maybe any sparks there. Yeah, Benny's put boring. Nailed it. Boring, challenging, content. Yeah, there is that. It's like this is long term. We are in it together. Flat, passionless. Thank you, Martin. Out of experience, stuck.
Energetic. That's actually a
Energetic.
really,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah,
yeah. Like that.
there's definitely that's a really lovely way of looking at it. So
Traditional, playful. Yeah. And, you know, we're going to be dancing through all these archetypes. It's actually like the reason we bring this, it's around an inner marriage, your own inner marriage of your own masculine, feminine, light and dark. And so there's actually like an inner foursome going on all the time. I mean, there's many more. We could unpack it further, but four's enough for this little inner party. And you're meeting the inner foursome with someone else. So how to meet this dance? And if you're, like, thank you for example, Benny. It's like, yeah, it's great when there's like the light masculine and dark feminine, and dark feminine, but it's like, can we also like meet in this place and have some, because otherwise, if it's always like drama and passion, it's like, oh, okay, I'm processing all the time, man. I just want to like live in some harmony at times as well. So we want to be here. Like, we're kind of few jokes, boring. I mean, but we don't want to stay here because that will be boring. But we also want to be here at times, and then the word content comes in, which is beautiful. It's beautiful to feel content and actually like feel fulfilled, and this is great and it's solid. But a steady ship the whole time will get boring. So we are going to be doing this dance the whole time. Yeah, and some of the greatest transmissions I've had are from my partners. So how to integrate my feminine more was before I was outsourcing it, it was like, yes, she fulfills this part of me, you complete me that job. And now more consciously relating, I'm like, oh, I see this within you. I'm like, oh wow, that's really beautiful. And instead of it like, oh, it's within you, it's like now I'm going to drink it in and I'm going to be able to integrate it into me. So some of the codes I've had from my relationships have been incredible. If we can be really open and if we can really drink them in. Okay, last one. The dark feminine, dark masculine. Brothers type away. How do you think this is?
oh, someone's already in. Strong.
Fucking intense,
Love it.
strong, love it, explosive, power couple, powerful, fierce, powerful, thunder. Yeah, I mean
Thunder.
it's
Mm.
there's definitely like fire. There's aliveness, there's passion. Um,
Tiring. I really relate to that. That's a great
Moving
observation.
mountains. And it's kind of like a
Stressful.
star. It's like a sonic boom. It's like a, what do you call it? What's it when stars explode?
Supernova, is it?
Supernova. That's the one I'm thinking. I was like, sonic boom. That's not right. That's different. Supernova. It burns out quickly as well. It's explosive. It's great. It's passionate, but it's not maybe a long-term thing here. So this is like, but we want the sparks. We want the passion within relating. So maybe we do meet in that place, and our animals are out, and we're wild, and we're um, yeah, Benny's put too much, not sustainable. Exactly that. Okay. So we got another piece of Ouija,
Yeah.
another slide.
Just the just
I'm
the
aware it's actually on time as well. So does anyone need to leave in this moment? I want to acknowledge you and acknowledge the time. We won't run much longer. We'll try and keep it to 5 minutes or so, and then the people that want to stay on can stay on. Okay, so
okay.
why we are doing this? I love your little noises, G. Oh, ah. Hey. Um, so why we're doing this is actually to collapse polarity. So we're not living this life of polarity through the personality. So we become more whole, more integrated. There's more freedom in our being, which is a greater power, more soulful place to live from. So I invite you to allow this to season you and feel where you feel most comfortable, feel where you have resistance, when you have been in these quadrants in your life, and in different ways in life, you'll turn up in different quadrants. Maybe at work, you're very different from at home, from your partnership. What situations can you utilize the power of these different archetypes that lie within you? When do you need to step more into your light feminine? When do you need to step more into your dark masculine? When do you need to bring that dark feminine through that light masculine? Yeah, one thing, the shadow aspect of this is when we over identify with one or distort an expression of one. And notice where we choose partners who embody qualities and we repeating patterns. I mean, it's most probably the universe saying that you're not quite integrated this yet. There's more here. I know my first 30 years of relating, as Graham mentioned, I was relating with my mother effectively, drawing her in again and again through different partners. And I wasn't getting the message. It's only been the last sort of 12, 13 years since I started to more consciously relate, more consciously live, then this has changed. And really key to this is embracing vulnerability, listening to your intuitive body over mental direction. If stuff is coming up, the other person might not be as aware as you, or they might not have this map or these skills. So it's like to be able to share it, to be able to say, "Oh, pause. I'm noticing what's coming up for me." To allow space for your inner feminine and your inner masculine to meet, and from that place of this archetypal dance, meeting other people. Really, it starts as an inside job, as you're all very aware. You're all on this call. You've all got a degree of awareness around this internal work that we're doing together.
Yeah, the one big key to this as well is not to feel like you have to be perfect. You if one wishes to integrate all of these, then there's going to be a lot of mistakes on the road. Don't forget the risk-taking dark masculine, for example. You can imagine the harm that's been caused unconsciously by that energy. But if you're consciously making decisions to explore it, then my sense is already you really limit the amount of damage that you can do, and a lot of damage that you can do, it kind of lives in the head a little bit, memories, past experiences where it didn't work, where you were misunderstood or that energy wasn't welcome, whether it was light feminine, light masculine, dark feminine, whatever it was. So please don't feel that you have to get this perfectly right. Take chances, take risks, create the opportunities to have experiences of being in contact with these archetypes, with these energies. Maybe find people who really embody some of these qualities and these properties, maybe outside of your romantic relationship. Spend a little bit of time with those people. Ask them for reflections. Maybe ask them, like, where do you see me? Like, share the map with them. Where do you see me in this map? Like, where do you feel like I can grow? Yeah, maybe that could be a good direction for you to take.
Mm. Yeah, and wanting to give full kudos to Bruce Lyon, who is a mentor, teacher of Graham and I. We met at a mystery school in New Zealand, and Bruce was at the helm, and he created this map. I mean, obviously, he's been inspired by other people as well, but yeah, he's an incredible teacher, and yeah, that's where I first heard it anyway. So, and saying that, please take it and spread it, share it. It's yours. Yeah, yeah, and if you're wanting to go much deeper into it, then we we are using this model in both the seeds, which is our online journey, where you're not just going to get like one call like this and that's it. You're going to have a week on each aspect of it, and there's going to be videos going into more depth, and then you're going to have on the sessions like this, we actually do it very interactive. We don't normally talk just like this. We're normally actually going in breakout rooms and getting people to drop into stuff together, so it's really engaging. For the nature of this webinar, we thought there's so much information, let's keep us together. Yeah, and then obviously the in-person as well, like to actually do it in person, seeing other brothers going through embodied ritual, it's phenomenal. So yeah, but okay, so 7 past. I'm gonna try and yeah, just wanting to ask a question. Who here gained value from today? Beautiful. Who here would like some more? Amazing. So I'm really mindful of time now, 7 past, and I'm gonna we're gonna stay on for a bit. We're gonna talk about seeds and go into some more detail. If anyone's got any curiosity around that and wants to understand a bit more what it is and the content, or any questions, then I'm going to invite you to stay on. But otherwise, the brothers that have come and don't feel really called to hear any more, want to give you a yeah, thank you, Leo. Good to see you, bro.
Yeah, good to see
Give you a
you.
space now to leave. And thank you very much for today. Appreciate your presence, and I hope it
Bless you,
impacts you and makes a difference.
Hey Robbie, I'm just going to say I'm going to shoot off. I've got get back to London tomorrow. I'd love seeing you. I've been doing a lot of work with Graham lately, so I'll just send lots of love and hopefully I'll see you again soon when I'm back in London between now and Christmas.
Bless your mind.
Cheers, Graham. Take care, Robbie. Love you.
I completely froze on Martin, but thank you and see you. Okay, brothers. So yeah, so assuming every brother here is somewhat interested to learn more and curious around the seeds journey. So thank you. Appreciate your interest. Um, so we have given you a little microdose of this bottle, and in the journey, we're going to go much deeper into the feminine mysteries. And this is what kind of differentiates ourselves or makes us different from maybe some of the other men's work out there. One, we call ourselves really, really about soul initiation. And to do that, we need to embrace all aspects of the soul. So the feminine mysteries is really key for us. If we're going to become more whole and a journey to wholeness, then we need to embrace these parts. So we're going to work with also the wounds, like the things that we've struggled with in our lives, because some of the greatest leaders I know in the world are very close to their wounds. So we're going to have a chance, a space to share to whatever level feels true to you, but we're going to have lots of tools and stuff to actually see the gifts in those experiences. I know some of the most challenging experiences that were haunting me for a lot of my life. I've now really started to harvest the gold and see they're often the gifts I'm here to share with the world. I really believe that my soul chose this vessel with my experience, having my challenging experiences growing up. For me, if I have, when and if, I suppose, I have the capacity to work through them and can turn that, be the alchemist and turn it into gold and then share it. Because people might not have exactly the same experience as me, but there's underlying stories and energies that are similar. We're going to work a lot with nature, emotional intelligence. So really going into the masculine power as well, the archetypes. We're going to work with shadow, and we're going to work with your unique gifts and purpose. So it's over 6 different sessions. There's lots of videos that we've already recorded, which are incredible, that you get in your own time. So then when you come on the call, we can drop into them and actually unravel them and get into more depth. You're also going to have groups that you'll be working in. So it's very interactive and engaging.
Yeah, I think a big thing for us as well is because we had quite a lot of requests for people that would love to do kind of longer form, longer term journeys with us as well. So this is actually a great way to do that because the retreats are 7 days and very intense. And people say things like it's like 10 years of therapy in 1 week. But how do you integrate 10 years of therapy in 1 week? It's a lot smoother, slower, but also the opportunity to take kind of step-by-step changes as well. So the things that you're learning like on a weekly basis, you can actually apply to your day-to-day as well. And I think that's actually one of the reasons why I might consider doing something like this as opposed to the in-person. They're both very different. And we'll be giving a lot of different maps and models, nothing too overwhelming, still quite direct and clear. And also the map is not the territory either. So we will be exploring the territory together, like actually what's there for each of us. And the exciting thing for me is that piece around purpose, because if everything else is clear and there's space and there's an opportunity to really be, then purpose, at least for me, is a naturally occurring phenomena. So if I've got everything in its right place, then I'm myself, I'm authentic, and then I can really see the path that's laid out in front of me that's always been there. So we'll be doing that for each other, supporting each other to get things out of the way. And 3 months journey, it's not small. We'll have a chance to really drop in together and get to know each other. There'll be a lot of support. There'll be a lot of attention and care. And I'm excited about the way that the content looks as well. I think it's really valuable, and I don't think there's much of it out there in the world at the moment as well. I feel like it's more coming from the edge of something rather than very clearly established.
Beautiful. Graham, should we complete there with the recording, please?
Yeah.